Looking at a situation systematically, seeing invisible consistent patterns and connections in attempts to put puzzles around together is not only beneficial, but also interesting and entertaining. But can we use the same approach for studying our own life? Well, unfortunately not, because there is no such a mirror that could possibly reflect our true essence. But at least lifting the veil for a bit is quite possible. In order to see the system of our own life, we have to reformulate the concept of justice. In fact, common understanding of justice is pretty cut and dried, yet quite schizophrenic. When we lack something that others have in abundance, there is the whole spectrum of negative emotions comes up. It forces us to feel deprived of our due share and engenders willing to equalize. Simultaneously, if we have something more than people around, we tend to consider it fair, being reluctant to share. That's exactly why this socially accepted schizophrenic idea of justice is the right track to deterioration and death of any system. From my point of view, the reasons of it lie in people's opinion that this world is to appreciate their sufferings and trouble. If the things are hard and a person lacks something, he thinks that the universe literally has to provide it. But the world is merciless and doesn't take into consideration our dramas. They are not accountable. Results are the only thing that matters. A man which is obsessed with pridefulness cannot perceive that because he considers himself a center of the universe. Having accepted the idea of humility, we are granted with an opportunity to understand that the world is operated not by our whims, but by other powers and hidden algorithms. And the world has its own genuine concept of justice. As soon as we conceive that so called higher order justice, we become able to see it everywhere and feel that everything is oriented by that superpower. And this is omnipresent indeed. That justice is everywhere, ranging from religious studies to natural selection. There is an ultimately clear and precise thesis for that concept in the Old Testament. For the one who has, more will be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. Unfortunately, and thankfully though, everything works exactly this way. After embracing this concept, we start to take ourselves as elements of this universal system. We are no more than just cogs in the machine. If we have something, it is deserved, but when in contrast there is a shortage, it means as well that we had it coming. Accepting this higher order justice dramatically enhances our capabilities as we become able to learn from other people. Generally speaking, the most important and valuable knowledge are obtained not from books. It's impossible to study business, success, victories, achieving goals by books. All that stuff we learn from interaction with other people. That kind of knowledge is not verbal. It is not processed by our intellectual apparatus. But if we find ourselves in that social schizophrenic paradigm of justice, any person who achieved more is automatically considered as a scumbag. In this case, we bent over backwards devaluating the person's success in order to comfort ourselves. We tend to protect our self-esteem from being damaged, and doing so we also fence ourselves off from the opportunity to learn from a prospering person. Whereas in contrast, if we understand that any possessions are deserved and a successful man has knowledge that we lack and need, any person becomes a teacher. Otherwise, being incapable to learn from thriving people, we're bound to learn from low ranks. And when we learn from somebody who is weaker than us, our path takes a descending trajectory, which is obviously degradation in its essence. The aforementioned way of acquiring new knowledge is very simple. It is everyday communication, just being around. Sometimes a handshake is even enough to transfer bits of a person's experience to us. So, after coming to that understanding, we start to look at our life systematically. We start to perceive ourselves as a chip in our own game. the chip which properties we're able to determine and acquire. If we see the aim clearly, skills and knowledge needed to get there are also visible. So we can pinpoint the type of people that we might acquire them from. In a nutshell, considering yourself a playing chip and the one who moves it at the same time is the very systematical view on life. Be that as it may, we adopt skills and knowledge from those who we interact with. As they say, men are known by the company they keep. If we communicate with the ones who are stronger, we grow, as the stuff we learn from them facilitates it. If, in contrast, we mingle with the weaker ones, we acquire the knowledge that demotes us to their level. The way down is easy and may be even pleasant, but the consequences are not so attractive.